Hey guys, the World Championships is the most prestigious event of the year, and this year I was not only lucky enough to compete in my 10th Worlds, but I also placed 7th with Gholdengo Togekiss. While I looked really confident with the deck on stream, I didn't really pick it up till a couple days before the event, and I was kind of scrambling for a deck in general the weeks leading up. So, since Worlds is such a different event, I wanted to go through my thought process leading up, as well as my general meta read, and kind of talk about how I got to Dengo Togekiss and the list that I did. Beyond that, I'm going to talk a bit about the deck's changes and where it kind of stands in the meta leading up to the next couple events. So, yeah, I do want to apologize a bit for the delay. I wanted to post this a bit sooner afterwards, but I've been moving this month, school's starting, so I've been a little bit busier than I expected. But yeah, here I am before Monterey and Frankfurt, so enjoy. Before we get into the content, I quickly want to shout out my sponsor, Endgame TCG. I think that their Lilac Omegas are the best sleeves on the market right now, and you can use code Piper for 10% off your order. Alright, so here I have the Limitless data from Worlds, as well as my tier list that I posted about a month before the event. Overall, I think my tier list was really good. Guardy won, and that was my top deck. Poltnor got second, and that was my second best deck. And then even Enzoric I put at the bottom A tier, and there were 2 in top 8. So I overall think I had a pretty good meta read on this event. I think some points of contention were Grimmsnarl being a bit too high, Straight Pulp being a bit too high, which sure, that's valid. And then Regional maybe is a bit too low. I do think the deck doesn't really do well into a lot of the top decks, and I only lost to it on stream because of really poor variance. And then also Gholdengo, I actually don't think is an S tier deck. It's the most played deck, and it's really strong, but just its lack of being able to get back into the game from behind consistently, it's mainly led up to luck, with Chansey or Togekiss. I think it lacking that is just really rough for the deck, so that's why I'm still a little hesitant to put it in S. It's definitely clearly at the top of A though. Maybe there's an A plus tier that's only Gholdengo though. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, I felt like I had a really solid meta read going into the event, but I didn't really know what to do with that. If you saw me on Twitter, you saw I posted a Zoric article and went really in depth in it. I played a lot of Zoric this summer, and ultimately I decided not to play it because it just couldn't consistently beat Gholdengo. It also ran into some issues with Raging Bull, and the combination of that made me not really want to play the deck. I tried a lot of variants, I tried the Toad Scroll in the Arvin build, I tried Toad Scroll in the Cyrano build, and it just didn't feel quite enough when I was expecting Gholdengos to play something like Togekiss or Chansey. But yeah, I ultimately decided not to play Zoric, so my next thought was try to make Grimmsnarl work. I tried a couple different things in it to try to beat Gholdengo, but that matchup was just too rough, especially against the 4 boss builds. They could really easily boss your Frostlass and get you out of the game. Other than that, I did play Gardevoir and Poltnor because a lot of my group plays Poltnor, and I'm pretty comfortable with Gardevoir. But with Gardevoir, I couldn't settle on a list that I liked that had a good enough time into Gholdengo without making the Poltnor matchup too bad. Typically to make the Poltnor matchup better, you play a bit of a thicker line, like a third Kirlia or a third Guardy. But to beat Gholdengo, you want stuff like the 4th Monkey and Devo, which are a bit weak in the Poltnor. They obviously have niches, but overall, I don't think they're very strong. You really just want that extra consistency to set up under Itchy Pollen. But yeah. So another thing with World is I can't really rely on skill gapping opponents either. I know a lot of the people bringing Gholdengo are going to be fantastic players. I can't just hope they misplay into my Poltnor list, and that made me really not feel good about Poltnor because the Gholdengo matchup for Poltnor felt awful. Even with double Jamming Tower, I felt most lists should be playing 2 Stadium Bumps anyway because something like Levincia is already really strong. And then on the off chance that Poltnor is playing double Stadium, it's really good just to have another bump for the Jamming Tower. So with that in mind, I felt I couldn't really play Poltnor, and I couldn't find a Guardy list I liked, and I couldn't find a Zoric list I liked. So I kind of knew at that point I was probably going to play something like Gholdengo. And then my testing partner, Bodhi, who had played a lot of Gholdengo this season, he got ASIM at Atlanta with it, with a 4 Cypher build, in fact. That's kind of where we got our start of wanting to play 4 Cypher. Beyond that, we wanted something to not only improve our mirror, but all the random stuff that was going to be trying to beat Gholdengo. And we found that Togekiss was the best way to do that. Not only does it support Gholdengo's already super high win rate, but it just gives you a chance to scam games you had no business winning. In Ethan's Typhlosion, if you can get 2 flips, get 2 heads, that's a 25% chance to win right there. Beyond just their deck being bad and you rolling them. So yeah, that's kind of how we got there. Gholdengo is just such a good deck. It has onboard ways to set up its onboard draw in Genesect, and then it has really powerful onboard draw. It has an unlimited damage cap. You have targeted search through Cypher Maniacs. Like, it just has everything a deck could want besides like strong comeback mechanics. So Togekiss was kind of our best way to get like a comeback mechanic. And yeah, that's kind of like the general philosophy behind how we got to Dengo Togekiss, because it doesn't really matter the skill of your opponent. If you just flip heads on Togekiss, a lot of times you'll just win the game from there. So yeah, with that in mind, we're going to move over to the list and some of the more interesting counts there. All right, so here's the list I played. There's a lot of like tailored counts that I'm going to go over because they kind of don't make sense intuitively. So first off is the 150 HP Gimmighoul. This is probably the easiest one to discuss. I mean, it's just Culver Family so strong under Buddy Lock that it kind of doesn't really matter that it has 50 HP. Like, you get punished for not having it more than you get punished for having it. The next up is the Baby Dengo. This is just our best cornerstone answer while also being a solid mirror tech and just having random uses like knocking out a Chi-Yu or a Hoot Hoot and trying to disrupt our opponent's prize trade if we aren't able to set up the Togekiss or if we just want like extra percentages. And then the last Pokemon really to talk about is the Monkey Dory. Like, I think Monkey Dory is just the best healing option compared to Picnic Basket or Moonlit Hill, just because it also gets the extra added threat onto Poltnor. Like, you get to knock out their Buddy sometimes, which prevents them from using an extra Dusclops. And then it also just acts as like an extra energy each turn. Like, against Poltnor, for example, again, if you Adrenaline Brain 31 turn, that effectively is 1 energy less that you're using to knock out a Pult, and then same thing the next turn. If you're able to Adrenaline Brain another 30, then that's another 1 less energy. So you basically got the value of 2 energies for just 1 Dark, which is really strong. And you're also disrupting their math when they try to like knock out 2 Dengos in 1 turn or something, or board wipe you take 6 prizes in 1 turn. So I really think Monkey's super strong. Then next up is the supporter counts. We played 4 Cypher and 3 Arven, whereas many lists were playing like 4 Arven, 2 Cypher, or 3 Cypher most normally. So the reason I went with 4 Cypher is not only does it set up the Togekiss a lot better, Cypher is just so broken in this deck. It's not even just because you get to coin bonus into those cards immediately, it's more so that you can prep your deck for next turn. As Gholdengo, we want to get ahead and stay ahead. So when we're playing against decks like Poltnor or Guardy that try to put us behind by making us whiff for a turn, being able to Cypher cards on top of our deck like Boss and Superior makes it so that we're never going to whiff turns and we're always going to stay ahead. So that's really the main logic behind 4 Cypher. Now, cutting the 4th Arven, we actually cut it for the Poke Gear. So we just wanted to Cypher every turn past turn 3, and Arven was not like doing enough past turn 3. Like, a lot of times, if our opponent did Iono, our hands would just have like 2 Arvens that we never used. It's like, the Arvens are just super low value at the end of the game, so we decided the Poke Gear is a little bit better, as it gives you a bit more reach for your Cypher, as well as for your Turo and bosses when you need them. So not only does it boost consistency slightly, it lets you have a bit more access to the lower counts, because a lot of lists were playing 4 boss, 2 Turo, like the really consistent lists, and we obviously don't have space for that, but yeah. Then some other kind of weird counts, a 3 Nest Ball is not like super low, but we had 4 Nest Ball until the night before when we decided we wanted a second stadium. So in order to take not too much of a hit to consistency, we just decided to put the Artisan in. As not only does it get us a basic and act as a stadium buff for Jamming Tower, but you can also Cypher for Artisan and over 2 turns potentially get 2 Gimmighouls. When we found ourselves against like Itchy Pollen Lock, having to Cypher for a Gimmighoul multiple turns in a row in order to like keep our board strong. So yeah, Artisan was great, and yeah. The 1 Ultra Ball is so that Arven can get you a Togekiss or a Baby Dengo. Obviously, you want to be able to get the Baby Dengo to keep a complete 1 prize board, as you don't want to bench a Genesect in a lot of those scenarios. Tool Scrapper is also like not in every list, and that's just to cover the Guardy matchup a bit more. Like, I was struggling on deciding which Guardy build I would bring to the event, so I figured a lot of different builds like Jellicent, Full Control, and then like Turbo Drifloon would pop up. And yeah, I played against a Drifloon build. I don't know, they were just aggressively using their Charm, and the Scrapper was really good. I don't know if they Driflooned me though. But yeah, the Scrapper got its value at the event, and yeah, it's also really strong against like random Sparkling Crystals or in the mirror match to like potentially limit their draw by a bit if they're ballooning their Gholdengos. So yeah, and then Night Stretcher finally. Night Stretcher I'd probably cut for a Super Odd moving forward, but yeah, Night Stretcher as a one of is a bit different. Like, everyone else is playing 2, but you really only need one to get through a game, is what we found. So as long as you're not burning it early or using it at the wrong time, you really don't need more than the one. But Super Rod gives you a bit more flexibility in using your Baby Dengo against Cornerstone and Crustle, and it also helps you against Toedscruel. So yeah, that's kind of like all the interesting parts of the deck list. There's not really like a ton that I would change going forward. Like as I mentioned, I would definitely do a Super Rod over the Night Stretcher. And then I'd also think I'd try to find a spot for the Counter Catcher, for a Counter Catcher. I think, unfortunately, that has to be over Tool Scrapper, just like for space-wise. So I think something like this is what I'd be playing moving forward. But yeah, I think the deck's in a really good position. I do think Togekiss is the best build out of all the prize scam options. So for the prize scam options, there's Dusknoir, Ceruledge, Chansey, and Togekiss. So I think Dusknoir is the worst just because it's the least like applicable in other like times, if that makes sense. Like you really only use it for like getting back on the even prize trade and like I guess knocking out like Crustals and Cornerstones. But I felt like the Dusknoir, it's very difficult to use correctly and like at the right time. And there's a lot of times you just can't even use it because it fixes your prize trade, but it also fixes your opponent's prize trade. Like, so I really don't like the Dusknoir. I think that's the worst one. Then I think Ceruledge is the second worst. What's nice about Ceruledge is it gives you a great Cornerstone answer, but in Dengo Mirrors, a lot of times your opponent's going to be on odd prizes anyway because they're using like a Baby Dengo knockout, which means you're not even going to be able to use the Briar. So the games that you're already losing, you're still losing is how I kind of feel about the Ceruledge. But it being a Cornerstone answer is great. And also it's like, it's just a solid attacker. Like it's a low, like a low cost attacker in the late game. Like you don't need a ton to get it going. So yeah, then I do think Togekiss is second best. While Togekiss is like easy to set up and get 2 flips every time, it's like you don't always get to set it up. Like a lot of times you want to use your Cypher to be able to attack for turn or set up for the next turn. So there's times where you're not able to like Cypher your Togekisses or you're just not able to get the combo going. And additionally, Togekiss gets you like potentially an extra flip. So that's nice. And then it also takes up less deck space. Like I'm able to fit in the 4th Cypher and the Artisan compared to the Chansey build, which is honestly just a huge boost in consistency I found. And yeah, like I just think Togekiss is the best because it takes up the least space and like it still provides significant value in a ton of matchups across the board. So yeah, I think moving forward, I expect Togekiss to be pretty popular, as well as the Chansey. I think those two will be the most popular, but I do think there is merit to just playing a straight consistency build, you know, with like 4 Boss, 2 Turo, 4 Nest Ball, maybe even 2 Pokegear, 4 Cypher. Like all of that just feels so good. Like you just do whatever you want whenever you want. And yeah, I feel like the deck is just so strong. Like all the games I lost at Worlds just felt like out of my control mostly. Like I just hit the low end of variance. Like round 1, I played against some Milotic Farigiraf walls. They just went double Cornerstone, Turbo Energized to both. Like, I can't get through that. And then, obviously, if you've seen my stream game, like, I got egregiously unlucky in games 1 and 3. Like, there's not much I can do about it. It obviously sucks, but yeah, I'm still happy with the placement and everything. So yeah, that's kind of all I got, though. I think Gholdengo's broken. I do still think it's only an A-tier deck, though. I'm excited for Pittsburgh. I think I'm hopefully going to end up playing Zoroark to that one. Just, you know, play a fun deck this time. I'm not a huge fan of Gholdengo, but, you know, the deck was well-positioned for Worlds, and it ended up working out. So, yeah, with that in mind, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support lately. It really means the world, and, yeah, thank you.